All right, let's talk more about the absolute war on free speech. And this is, I don't know how more people don't realize what is going on here, no matter what side you on. If you are principled and believe in the First Amendment, then this should concern you. As I've done videos about the past couple of days, there was a pro-Palestine activist that was arrested and is facing deportation. His name is Mahmoud Kahlil, and he's a pro-Palestinian activist. He was arrested by ICE just this week, and he is facing deportation. So let me just give you straight facts of who this guy is. He is a permanent green card resident. He is a graduate from, I believe, Columbia University. So when they arrested him, they thought he had a student visa at first, and they were going to revoke that to deport him. And then they realized, oh wait, he actually he's a permanent green card resident. So they're like, okay, we'll revoke that instead. He wasn't actually charged with any crimes. That's even per the authorities. There's no crime he's being charged with. Okay, and this has been as clear as day about that he is a pro-terror, pro-Hamas dude who has apparently all these links to pro-terror organizations. It's all false. And after we go over this article real quick, I am going to prove it to you that it's all false. And if you don't believe what I show you, then please look it up. Look up if you can find any evidence that shows this guy is a terrorist. He is a pro-Palestine activist. Being a pro-Palestine activist is not a pro-Hamas stance. Being pro-Palestine is being anti-genocide. It's saying, hey, we think that we stand by the innocent civilians, the innocent men, women, and children who are taking the brunt of this brutal, brutal war going on, where I think like 80% of Gaza is leveled. There's been at least, this is on the low end, 13,000 children who have been killed, 40,000 Palestinians total. That's on the low end. There are sources I could cite that would be much higher than that, but I'll use the lowest number because I still think that is devastating. Compare that to, I think, like the 14 or 15,000 Hamas fighters they've actually killed. So high civilian casualties, and there's a lot of protests about that, mainly on college campuses, because we are supporting that with our tax dollars. We support Israel with virtually all of their military. So it's our tax dollars funding what a lot would consider a genocide. So Kahlil has never been charged with any crime. And he is a graduate from Columbia University. He is married, and he has a wife who is 8 months pregnant, who they threatened to arrest too, for whatever reason. Probably because she's like, hey, why are you arresting my husband? Anyways, let's get into the article. I just don't know how you can look at this situation and look at statements by Donald Trump. I don't have them on hand, but they basically said, yeah, this is completely political. Like, we think this dude's a terrorist, even though, like, if you know anything about the situation, any pro-Palestine protest or anything like that always gets labeled as anti-Semitic, pro-terror, pro-Hamas, whatever, even though it's never anything like that. And if it is, it's like one person out of 1,000 that did some stupid shit, like held up a pro-Hamas sign, and then they just condemn the whole protest. The arrest of Columbia University protest leader Mahmoud Kahlil by federal agents last week has sparked demonstrations in several U.S. cities. The big picture: free speech advocates are questioning the Trump administration's authority to arrest Kahlil, a lawful permanent U.S. resident with a green card, while the White House argues it's not a First Amendment issue. The White House has said Khalil's actions in helping to lead campus protests against Israel's treatment of Palestinians last year conflict with... Am I tripping? The White House has said Khalil's actions in helping to lead campus protests against Israel's treatment of Palestinians last year conflict with of President Donald Trump's executive order banning anti-Semitism. Am I just reading that wrong, or did they type that wrong? I know I have trouble reading sometimes, but anyway, zoom in. Hundreds of people protested in New York City on Tuesday against Khalil's arrest. The NYPD arrested roughly a dozen demonstrators, per NY Media. Rallies in support of Khalil took place at campuses of the University of Chicago and the University of California, Berkeley. Khalil was detained by immigrations and customs enforcement on Saturday and was told at the time of his arrest that his student visa had been revoked. He was like, dog, I am a permanent green card resident. His detention is being challenged in court because he is a legal permanent resident and not in the U.S. on a student visa. Khalil is being held at an ICE facility in Louisiana. So he's not charged with any crime. They just say, hey, you're part of these protests we don't like, and we think they're pro-Hamas, even though they're not. Representative Rashida Tlaib, and more than a dozen other lawmakers signed a letter Tuesday demanding the Trump administration release Khalil. Their illegal actions set a dangerous precedent. Tlaib wrote on X, we cannot allow them to shred our constitutional rights of free speech and due process. Free Mahmoud Kahlil. U.S. District Judge Jesse Furman on Monday blocked any attempt by the Trump administration to deport Khalil until the court says otherwise. So yeah, right now it's being held up in court. Thank God. Am I crazy? Can someone explain to me how this isn't a violation of the First Amendment? They're arresting this dude who has no links, we're about to get into that to a second, to any pro-terror groups or any pro-Hamas groups. No links at all. And they're arresting him and they're not, and like I said, there's no crimes he's being charged with. He didn't commit any crimes, and they're not even saying he committed a crime. He was arrested solely on their perception that he is anti-Semitic and pro-Hamas. Okay, he's not. He is not, and we're going to go over that. But even if he was, and he didn't do anything violent, and he did organize a pro-Hamas protest, that's protected by the First Amendment. I hate Hamas as much as the next guy, but that is protected under the First Amendment. That's why we still see Nazi protests. There was one a couple weeks ago, I forget where, but we still see Nazi rallies. Okay, where's your crackdown on that? That seems pretty anti-Semitic if you ask me. But I really hope this dude doesn't get deported. We'll have to see what the court says, but I don't expect much help from Democrats except for the few Rashida Tlaib. But overwhelmingly, both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are bought and paid for by AIPAC, a Jewish lobby. I shouldn't say Jewish lobby because Israel lobby, because there are, believe it or not, there are a lot of Jews who look at what Israel is doing and are like, hey man, this is too far. But of course, we'll never talk about them. So, I asked our favorite MAGA consultant, ChatGPT. If you don't know, I use ChatGPT to challenge MAGA claims because it's AI and it's owned by a company that's a part of Project Stargate, started by Trump. So, if there's any bias or anything, it's on their side. And I just it's their tool. This is a right-wing tool, and I'm going to use it to disprove their claims. I said, does Mahmoud Kahlil actually have any traceable links to pro-terror groups? Kahlil, a Palestinian activist and recent graduate of Columbia University, has been accused by the Department of Homeland Security of engaging in activities aligned with Hamas, a designated terror organization. Specifically, DHS alleges that Kahlil distributed pro-Hamas propaganda flyers and organized protests that disrupted campus activities and harassed Jewish students. However, as of now, there is no public evidence indicating that Kahlil has engaged in or supported any violent activities associated with terrorist organizations. His involvement appears to be limited to organizing and participating in campus protests and distributing materials expressing pro-Palestinian sentiments. It's important to note that while Kahlil's actions have been controversial and have led to his arrest and potential deportation, no concrete evidence has been publicly presented linking him directly to terrorist activities. The legal proceedings are ongoing, and a federal judge has temporarily blocked his deportation pending further review. I said, is there even any anecdotal evidence? What's the right-wing propaganda machine even pumping out? And there's barely anything, man. So look at this. There is no direct evidence linking Mahmoud Kahlil to a terrorist organization, but there is anecdotal claims and allegations from various sources. First source, Department of Homeland Security. And as we talked about, the whole reason why they're going after him, they're claiming he was distributing pro-Hamas flyers and organizing pro-Hamas protests. Here they say anti-Israel protests. There's nothing wrong with that, because right now what Israel is doing is clearly a genocide. Okay? Being anti-Israel is not being anti-Jew. National security investigation. Some reports state that Kahlil was investigated as a potential national security threat, but no evidence of direct terrorist affiliation has been made public. I wonder why he was investigated. A foreign person. I forget where he was born. I want to say Egypt. That could be wrong. Somewhere in that area. You know, some foreigner who they thought was here on a visa. Yeah, of course. And he leads pro-Palestine protests. Of course he's going to be investigated. But have they released any evidence? Nope. Political and media narrative. His arrest and deportation efforts have been politically charged with figures like former President Trump. Oh, man. I'm going to tell on you, ChatGPT. How dare you? Current President Trump. Using his case as an example of cracking down on anti-Israel campus protests. However, the lack of hard evidence suggests his case is more about his activism than proven terrorist ties. Conclusion, there are claims and concerns about Kahlil's potential alignment with terrorist narratives, but as of now, no verifiable evidence, even anecdotal, has been provided showing direct links to terrorist groups. His case seems to be focused on his activism and protest activities rather than material support or operational connections to terrorism. Yeah. There you have it. Find me a source that says this, that proves this guy's a terrorist or has some terrorist links. Okay? Even then, if he hasn't done anything violent or organized anything violent, First Amendment, dog, I don't agree with it if he was pro-Hamas, but he's not. But I'm just saying, we have the First Amendment, and if you're principled on this issue of freedom of speech, freedom of expression, the First Amendment, if you are principled and you support that, then no matter what side you are on, you should support the right for this dude not to be deported. Okay? Remember, he has a wife, 8 months pregnant. He's about to have a kid, and they're trying to separate him from his family. What happened to family values? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I will see you in the next one. If you made it to this point in the video, I just want to give a special thank you. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button down below, and if you really enjoyed it, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button while you're down there. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I will try to reply to any and all comments that I can. Until next time, watch that video on screen.